On an autumn afternoon when Chicago's winds caressed her cheeks, Olivia Hamilton sat at her desk in the accounting office and sighed at her mother's third phone call of the day. On the other end of the line, her mother Carol continued chattering in her perpetually shrill voice. "Olivia, you absolutely must come this Sunday. Jessica is bringing the children too, and it's a precious opportunity for the whole family to get together." Olivia felt uncomfortable with this phrase, whole family. When her mother said whole family, it always seemed like grandmother Eleanor was never included. In fact, even at Sunday dinners, grandmother often sat alone in a corner of the living room watching television. After hanging up, Olivia sent a message to her husband David. He worked as an engineer at a local construction company and was always at job sites until late. David was quiet but kind-hearted, and he understood the complex dynamics of Olivia's family well. Another summons from mother. Wonder what it is this time. That evening, their 14-year-old daughter Emily muttered while doing homework, "Mom, why is Grandma Carol always so on edge? And she's not nice to great-grandma Eleanor." Olivia was surprised by her daughter's sharp observation. Emily had just started high school, but she was keenly aware of the subtle relationships among the adults. "It's complicated, Emily. But you care about great-grandma, and that's what matters." Indeed, Eleanor had the best relationship with Emily, who was the most distant blood relative. Eleanor, despite being 88 years old, was still sharp mentally and sometimes helped Emily with her math homework. The former math teacher's teaching methods were much clearer than those of Emily's school teachers. Sunday afternoon, when Olivia's family arrived at her mother's house, her sister Jessica was already there. Jessica was raising two sons, ages 6 and 9, but always wore a tired expression. Her husband Mike traveled frequently for work, leaving her essentially raising the children alone. "Olivia, you look tired," Jessica smiled apologetically. "I've been listening to Mom's complaints again. About Grandma's care." Mother Carol was desperate to maintain a perfect family image for her neighbors and church friends, often spinning grandmother's care into a heartwarming story about getting through difficulties together with family bonds. In reality, however, most of the caregiving burden fell on Olivia. In the living room, grandmother Eleanor sat alone in her wheelchair, gazing out the window. She had been wheelchair-bound since a fall 3 years ago, but remained mentally sharp. When Olivia approached, Eleanor's face brightened. "Olivia, I'm so glad you came. How are you feeling, Grandma?" "Pretty good for an old lady. But it's sad to be treated like a burden." Eleanor's words carried no sarcasm, but Olivia felt a pang in her chest. Mother and Jessica treated grandmother like baggage and tried to avoid involvement with her as much as possible. All the necessary caregiving tasks, shopping, doctor's appointments, medication management, were pushed onto Olivia. At the dinner table, Mother Carol suddenly said, "Oh, I have something to discuss with everyone. How about we take a family trip to Hawaii next month?" Jessica's eyes lit up. "Really? What a wonderful idea. The children would love it." Olivia listened with interest. "That's a nice idea, Mom. What kind of budget are you thinking?" "I haven't decided on the details yet, but it would be fun if we all went together, wouldn't it?" Mother's voice was filled with excitement. At that moment, grandmother Eleanor quietly said, "I'll pass. A wheelchair would just be a bother for everyone." "That's not true," Emily immediately said. "Let's go together." However, Carol and Jessica looked relieved at grandmother's offer to bow out. In that instant, Olivia understood the true purpose of this travel plan. It wasn't a trip to deepen family bonds, but an excuse to leave grandmother behind. And probably, Olivia, who shouldered all the caregiving responsibilities, would also be left behind under the pretext that someone has to take care of Grandma. Olivia smiled and said, "What a lovely plan. Let me know when the details are settled." That night, when she explained the situation to David after returning home, he quietly shook his head. "Your family is sometimes hard to understand. Grandma Eleanor is such a wonderful person." "I think so too," Olivia squeezed her husband's hand. "But I'm sure there's a good solution. Just give me a little time." Monday morning, while Olivia was reviewing client tax documents at the accounting office, Carol called with an excited voice. Olivia, wonderful news. I've arranged everything for the Hawaii trip. It's the second week of next month. That's great, Mom, Olivia answered, looking up from her documents. Can you give me the details? 5 nights and 6 days at a resort hotel on Maui. I've secured ocean view rooms too. I think everyone will be pleased. The phrase, 5 nights and 6 days, struck Olivia as odd. How much will it cost? About $1,200 per person, I suppose. But it's well worth it for creating family memories. After hanging up, Olivia picked up her calculator. Mother had said, the whole family, but hadn't been clear about exactly who would be participating. That evening, when David came home, Olivia had taken out their joint bank account statements. Since their marriage, they had maintained transparency in their finances by discussing all major expenses. About the Hawaii trip, Olivia showed the statement to her husband. Mom called with details today, but something seems off. David frowned. Off how? When she talked about costs, she said $1,200 per person. But despite saying the whole family, she didn't mention specific numbers of people. The next day, Olivia visited her mother's house during lunch break. Finding grandmother Eleanor alone in the living room, she sat beside her. Grandma, did you hear about the Hawaii trip? Eleanor smiled gently. Yes, Carol told me about it. It sounds like a lovely plan. You all need some refreshment. You should come along too. Olivia took her grandmother's hand. Dear Olivia, Eleanor's voice carried a gentle resignation. I'm 88 years old. Long-distance travel is hard on my body, and I just hold everyone back. That's not true. But think realistically. Airport transfers, hotel stays, wheelchairs on the beach. My presence would diminish everyone's enjoyment. Olivia sensed the deep sadness in her grandmother's words. Eleanor was withdrawing herself out of consideration for not wanting to burden the family. That weekend, Olivia examined their joint accounts' online statements more carefully. She noticed a large withdrawal in her mother's name. A payment of $6,000 to a travel agency. Olivia took a deep breath. Carol, Jessica and her sons, and probably David and Emily. Her own and Eleanor's portions weren't included. Monday morning, Olivia called her mother, consciously keeping her voice calm. Mom, I'd like to confirm the final details about the Hawaii trip. Of course. Ask me anything. Can you confirm the participants one more time? There was a moment's hesitation in Mother's voice. Well, myself and Jessica, plus Jessica's children. Then David and Emily. What about me? You have to, Mother's voice rose slightly, take care of Eleanor, don't you? Someone needs to stay home or I'd worry. Olivia answered quietly, I see. And when was this decision made? We all discussed it and decided. You're busy with work, and you're the only one we can trust to care for Grandma. Olivia smiled bitterly at the phrase, we all discussed it. Her fate had been decided without her knowledge. I understand, Mom. I hope everyone has a wonderful trip. After hanging up, Olivia visited grandmother's house again. Eleanor was struggling with her wheelchair, trying to water the garden flowers. Grandma, let me help. Thank you, Olivia. You always help me. While helping with the watering, Olivia said quietly, about next month's Hawaii trip. Oh, I've already heard about that, Eleanor's voice was calm. Carol told me you'd stay behind to take care of me. I really feel sorry about it. You don't need to feel sorry, Grandma, Olivia continued watering the flowers. Actually, I have a plan too. A plan? It's still a secret, Olivia looked at her grandmother. But what if you and I could have special time together, just the two of us? Eleanor's eyes sparkled. That would be lovely. But you have a family. I've talked to David and Emily about it. They support this plan too. What kind of plan? Olivia took her grandmother's hand. The details are still secret. But I promise you. It will be an unforgettable time for just you and me. That night, Olivia explained the situation to David and Emily. "I can't believe it," Emily was indignant. "Grandma Carol and the others are really awful." David quietly shook his head. "I can't understand your family's approach. But I think I have an idea of what you're planning." "Don't we get to go to Hawaii?" Emily asked worriedly. "Of course, we'll go together," Olivia hugged her daughter. "But that will be another time. This time, it's more important to spend special time with great-grandma." A week before departure, Mother Carol called with final confirmation. "Olivia, all the travel preparations are complete. Please take good care of Grandma. Medication management, meal preparation, everything." "Don't worry, Mom," Olivia answered with a smile. "Everything is perfectly prepared. And if there's any emergency, don't contact us. It's our family vacation, after all." "I understand. I hope you have a wonderful trip." After hanging up, Olivia made a call on her smartphone to a certain number. "Hello, Mr. Williams? This is Olivia Hamilton. Please proceed with next week's matter as scheduled." "Yes, Monday at 10 a.m. "Thank you." The appointment with Eleanor's personal asset advisor was set for right after the family's departure. The time had come for the truth that grandmother had kept secret for years to finally be revealed. Sunday night, Olivia had dinner alone with her grandmother. "It'll be quiet for a while starting tomorrow," Eleanor said. Yes, Olivia looked into her grandmother's eyes. "But we have a wonderful plan. I'm really looking forward to it, Olivia. Time spent with you is always special." "I feel the same way, Grandma. Starting tomorrow, everything will change." Monday morning, Chicago's sky was covered with thin clouds. Olivia arrived with grandmother Eleanor at the entrance of a luxury hotel downtown. It was 8:30 a.m., 30 minutes before the 10 o'clock meeting time Mother Carol had specified. "We're a little early," Olivia said, pushing her grandmother's wheelchair. "That's fine," Eleanor smiled peacefully. "Rather, I'm happy to see everyone off." Actually, Olivia had come early intentionally. She wanted to clearly remember this morning's events. She didn't want to miss a moment when her family's true nature would be exposed. At 9 o'clock sharp, a large SUV arrived. The driver who got out was Robert, a professional driver dispatched by the travel company. He was a seasoned professional who had been doing this job for many years. "Good morning, Ms. Hamilton," Robert greeted Olivia politely. "I've come to pick you up." "Good morning, Robert. But we won't be accompanying you today." Robert looked confused. "Huh? But the reservation is for 7 people. 6 people, Olivia corrected quietly. "My grandmother and I aren't participating." At that moment, Jessica emerged from the hotel entrance. Behind her followed her 6- and 9-year-old sons, Ryan and Ethan. Jessica carried a small suitcase, but what was brought out after her was clearly a large cardboard box filled with caregiving supplies. "Olivia." Jessica called out brightly. "Good morning." "All set." Jessica placed the cardboard box in front of Olivia. Inside the box were adult diapers, pill organizers, a blood pressure monitor, wheelchair cushions, and a week's worth of caregiving supplies. "This is a week's worth for Grandma," Jessica explained in a businesslike tone. "The medications are divided into morning, noon, and evening doses, and you need to check her blood pressure daily. Also, I wrote emergency contact information on this paper." After hanging up, Olivia looked down at the box, inwardly sneering. Grandmother was being treated like an object. And she felt quiet anger at her sister's attitude of pushing all caregiving responsibilities onto her without feeling any guilt. "Thank you, Jessica," Olivia expressed gratitude on the surface. "But is this much supplies really necessary?" "Just in case," Jessica was already walking toward the car. "If anything happens, we'll be far away, so preparations need to be thorough." "Take good care of Grandma," Jessica said without looking back, then got into the SUV's back seat. Her sons hurriedly followed. At that moment, Mother Carol emerged from the hotel. She wore a light blue two-piece outfit with large sunglasses. She looked like a Hollywood movie actress. Olivia, good morning. Carol rolled down the car window and stuck her head out. How is Grandma doing? She's fine, Mom, Olivia answered calmly. That's good, Carol's voice showed no real concern for grandmother. You're the caretaker. Do your job properly. It would be terrible if something happened to Grandma. Olivia was again surprised by the coldness in her mother's words. The expression a caretaker treated her like a housekeeper or something. It was rare for it to be so clearly demonstrated that she wasn't seen as family. At that moment, the driver Robert apologetically interrupted. Excuse me, customers, he looked troubled. This SUV seats 6 people, so we can't accommodate anyone else. Looking inside the car, indeed all seats were filled. Robert in the driver's seat, Carol in the passenger seat, Jessica and her 2 sons in the back seat, and David and Emily sitting in the very back. Olivia was surprised. Even David and Emily were in the car. She thought she had told them they weren't participating in the trip. David? Olivia stared at her husband. David looked at his wife through the window with a confused expression. Olivia, Carol contacted us and we suddenly ended up participating. Emily too? Mom, I'm sorry, Emily looked at her mother with guilt. Grandma Carol said the family bonds wouldn't deepen unless we all went together. Olivia took a deep breath. At the very last moment, Mother was trying to take away even Olivia's husband and daughter. This would leave Olivia completely isolated, with only grandmother's care remaining. However, Olivia's expression remained calm. Rather, inwardly she felt relief that this was going according to plan. I see, Olivia answered peacefully. Everyone, have a wonderful trip. Robert again apologetically said, I'm truly sorry. Due to seating constraints. No problem at all, Robert, Olivia answered with a smile. Actually, this is perfect. The family in the car showed confused expressions at Olivia's words. What did she mean by perfect? Olivia approached the car while pushing grandmother Eleanor's wheelchair. Eleanor was smiling quietly. She too showed composure as if she had anticipated this situation. Everyone, it really looks like it will be a wonderful trip, Olivia's voice carried a slight irony. Please deepen your family bonds on Hawaii's beautiful beaches. Carol sensed something strange in her daughter's words, but departure time was approaching. Olivia, please really take good care of Grandma. Watch over her carefully until we return. Of course, Mom, Olivia said while pushing the wheelchair. Grandma and I have another wonderful plan. Another plan? Jessica tilted her head. Olivia looked down at her grandmother. Eleanor's eyes held the same quiet determination as her granddaughter's. Yes, Olivia answered with a confident voice. It's perfect. Grandmother and I have another plan. Eleanor said quietly, Olivia, thank you. Time spent with you is the greatest gift for me. The family in the car sensed that something important was hidden in their conversation. However, departure time had arrived. Robert started the engine. Well then, everyone, let's go. As the SUV started moving, Olivia waved goodbye. Until the car turned the corner and disappeared from view, she maintained a perfect smile. The moment the car disappeared, Olivia's expression changed. It was a smile containing relief and deep satisfaction. Grandma, Olivia looked down at her grandmother. Are you ready? Yes, dear Olivia, Eleanor's voice had an unprecedented strength. Our real journey is beginning. The two began walking toward the next phase. An hour after seeing the family off, Olivia and Eleanor were again in front of the hotel entrance. This time, they were waiting for someone to pick them up. At exactly 10 a.m., a black luxury sedan quietly arrived. The man who got out of the driver's seat was an elegant gentleman. Wearing a gray suit with gold-rimmed glasses, he looked exactly like what you'd expect from a private banker. Lady Eleanor, sorry to keep you waiting, the man bowed deeply. I'm Williams. Mr. Williams, thank you, Eleanor's voice had a dignity Olivia had never heard before. This is my granddaughter, Olivia. Lady Olivia, pleased to meet you, Williams also greeted Olivia politely. I've heard about you from your grandmother. Olivia was confused. Who is Mr. Williams? I am someone who has been managing Lady Eleanor's personal assets for the past 40 years. Williams carefully helped get grandmother's wheelchair into the car and guided Olivia to the rear seat. The car's interior had leather seats and was enveloped in a silence like a luxury hotel lounge. Where are we going today? Olivia asked, and Williams smiled. The special room at First National Bank. Lady Eleanor has important matters to discuss. While the car headed toward the financial district through downtown Chicago, Eleanor quietly gazed outside. Olivia watched her grandmother's profile, sensing there was a side to her grandmother she had never known. First National Bank was one of Chicago's most prestigious financial institutions. Williams guided the two through a back entrance and headed to the top floor via elevator. The room called the Special Room was a luxurious conference room with large windows overlooking Chicago's cityscape. Thick files were already stacked on the table, with coffee and refreshments prepared. Lady Eleanor, thank you for your trouble, Williams guided grandmother to a seat by the window. Today is an important decision day. Olivia sat in a chair, trying to understand the situation. Grandmother, what on earth is this about? Eleanor took her granddaughter's hand. Olivia, there's something I've kept secret from you for a long time. But today I'm going to tell you the whole truth. Williams opened a file. Lady Olivia, first let me say that Lady Eleanor has been an extremely excellent investor for the past 40 years. An investor? Olivia was surprised. But grandmother's pension is $1,200 monthly in Social Security benefits, Eleanor said quietly. That's all the income I've told the family about. Williams took out documents. However, Lady Eleanor's actual assets are shown here. The papers he showed contained astonishing figures. Stock investment portfolios, bonds, real estate investment trusts, and cash. The total exceeded $8 million. Olivia was speechless. $8 million? Yes, Eleanor smiled peacefully. Small investments I started during my math teaching days grew significantly over 40 years. Thanks to Mr. Williams' excellent advice. But why? Olivia was confused. Why keep it secret from the family? Eleanor's expression became a little sad. At first, I was afraid that having money would change family relationships. But as time passed, it became a different reason. Williams explained. Lady Eleanor wanted to confirm her family's true affection. Whether she was loved as a person, not for money. Olivia squeezed her grandmother's hand tightly. Grandma. These past 3 years, especially since becoming wheelchair-bound, I was able to know my family's true feelings. Eleanor's voice held deep sadness. Carol and Jessica treated me as a baggage and begrudged caregiving expenses. If they had known about my assets, their attitudes would probably have changed. But you were different, Eleanor looked at Olivia. Only you respected me as a human being and showed me affection. Not for money, but purely caring for me. Tears welled up in Olivia's eyes. Grandma, you're special to me. Money has nothing to do with it. That's exactly why, Eleanor's expression became determined, I'm making an important decision today. Williams took out new documents. Lady Eleanor has decided to make a lifetime gift of most of her assets to Lady Olivia. A lifetime gift? Of the total $8 million assets, I'm transferring 70%, $5,600,000, to you today, Eleanor explained. The remaining $2,400,000 will be left to Carol and Jessica as their legal inheritance shares. Olivia said trembling, I don't have the qualifications to receive such a large sum. You have every qualification, Eleanor said firmly. You gave me dignity. You showed me affection. And above all, you cherished me as family. Williams began legal explanations. Through lifetime gifts, tax issues are also minimized. We'll also simultaneously change the will to clarify the remaining asset distribution. The procedures took 3 hours. Document signing, asset transfer procedures, opening new bank accounts. When everything was finished, Olivia realized her life had completely changed. This completes everything. Williams returned the final documents to the file. Lady Olivia, congratulations. Eleanor showed a tired expression but smiled with satisfaction. I feel like a long burden has been lifted. After leaving the bank, the two headed to the luxury restaurant, Signature Room. The restaurant on Chicago's top floor was famous for its spectacular views overlooking the city. Guided to a private room, the two toasted with champagne. Olivia, thank you so much. Eleanor raised her glass. Having you here makes me happy. Thank you too, Grandma, Olivia answered, holding back tears. What I learned from you can't be bought with money. Meanwhile, on Maui, Hawaii, Carol and Jessica were arguing in a cheap motel room. The luxury resort they thought they had booked was fully occupied, forcing them to change to budget accommodations at the last minute. This wasn't supposed to happen, Carol muttered with an exhausted expression. The travel agency says it was their mistake. Additional charges are higher than expected too, Jessica also voiced complaints. And the children just complain constantly. The two had no idea what was happening in Chicago. They didn't know that the grandmother they considered baggage was actually a wealthy person with $8 million in assets, or that most of those assets had been transferred to Olivia. At the Chicago restaurant, Eleanor and Olivia spent a peaceful afternoon. Looking out at the beautiful cityscape through the windows, the two confirmed their true family bonds. What do we do now? Olivia asked. First, I want you to live the life you truly desire, Eleanor smiled. And I want to spend the rest of my life treasuring time with your family. Olivia squeezed her grandmother's hand. Of course, Grandma. We're real family. A week later, on Sunday evening, the suntanned family arrived at Chicago O'Hare Airport. However, the week they spent in Hawaii was far from the dreamlike time they had expected. Mother Carol sat exhausted on an airport bench. I'll never use that travel agency again, her voice mixed anger and disappointment. Due to booking errors, they stayed at a budget motel instead of a luxury resort, and additional charges ballooned to 3 times their budget. Sister Jessica was equally worn out. The children just complained, and Mike was always on work calls. I couldn't relax at all. The next morning, Carol called Olivia. Olivia, thank you for your hard work. Taking care of Grandma must have been difficult. No, it was a very fulfilling week. Olivia's voice was bright, without a trace of fatigue. Really? That's good. By the way, how about everyone gathering at Mother's house this afternoon? I'd like to talk about the trip too. That afternoon, when the family gathered at Mother's house, they witnessed an amazing scene. A new large-screen TV was installed in the living room, and Grandmother Eleanor's latest electric wheelchair was placed there. The kitchen was lined with high-end cooking equipment, and the entire house was transformed beyond recognition. What is all this? Carol's eyes widened. Olivia smiled peacefully. Grandma and I discussed it and decided to improve the environment a bit. I wanted her to be comfortable. But where did the money come from to buy such expensive things? Jessica was confused. At that moment, Grandmother Eleanor appeared in her electric wheelchair. Her expression held a dignified bearing they had never seen before. Welcome back, everyone, Eleanor's voice was strong. It sounds like you had an enjoyable trip. Grandma, that wheelchair. Carol muttered. Wonderful, isn't it? Eleanor smiled. Olivia chose it for me. But actually, this was purchased with my money. The family showed confused expressions. Your money? Olivia sat on the sofa and said, there's something we need to tell everyone. I'd like you to hear important news from Grandma. Eleanor took a deep breath before beginning to speak. Actually, I have far more assets than you all think. Through 40 years of investments, I've built assets totaling $8 million. Heavy silence fell over the room. $8 million? Carol's voice trembled. And last week, I made a lifetime gift of most of those assets to Olivia, Eleanor continued quietly. Because only she loved me for myself, not for money. Jessica stood up. That's not fair. We love Grandma too. Love? Eleanor's voice carried sternness for the first time. You called me baggage, begrudged caregiving costs, and excluded me from the Hawaii trip. Is that love? Carol was furious. This decision is invalid. I'll take legal action. Olivia answered calmly. Everything was done legally. We consulted with lawyers. The remaining $2,400,000 is secured as your legal inheritance share. But it's unfair. Jessica shouted. We're family too. Eleanor answered slowly. Family isn't just about blood relations. It's about respecting someone as a human being and showing them affection. Olivia gave me that. Over the following year, Mother Carol and Sister Jessica considered legal measures, but the lifetime gift was completely legal and couldn't be overturned. They occasionally tried to approach with ulterior motives for grandmother's assets, but Eleanor paid them no attention. Olivia quit the accounting firm and began treasuring time with grandmother Eleanor above all else. They visited Chicago's museums and concert halls several times a week, sharing grandmother's rich life experiences. A year later, Eleanor's 90th birthday arrived. A small party was held with just Olivia's family, and David and Emily also celebrated grandmother from their hearts. Grandma, congratulations on turning 90, Emily handed over a handmade card. Thank you, Emily, Eleanor embraced her granddaughter with tears in her eyes. I'm the happiest grandmother in the world. That night, Olivia and her grandmother went out to the garden alone. Under the starry sky, Eleanor said quietly. Olivia, I'm so glad I met you. I found a treasure far more valuable than money. That's my feeling too, Grandma, Olivia squeezed her grandmother's hand. The meaning of love I learned from you is a lifelong treasure. True family isn't about blood relations, but about respecting someone as a human being and showing unconditional affection. And caregiving isn't a duty, but one of the most beautiful expressions of love. Their bond became the most precious asset in life, something that could never be bought with money.